The diagnosis. Adrian Foster tapped his white cane against the polished floor of the medical center's lobby, counting steps as he had for the past 3 years. 28 from the entrance to the receptionist desk, 12 to the elevator, 16 to Dr. Chen's office. "Good morning, Mr. Foster," said the receptionist, her voice warm with familiarity. "Dr. Chen will see you shortly." Adrian nodded, his designer sunglasses concealing eyes that had gradually dimmed from vibrant green to a world of shadows and darkness. At 34, he had built visual tech from a startup in his garage to a multi-million-dollar company specializing in accessibility software. Ironic, he thought, that he now relied on his own products. "Adrian?" Dr. Eliza Chen's voice came from his right. "Please come in." He followed her voice, counting steps until he reached the familiar leather chair in her office. "I've been reviewing your latest scans," Dr. Chen said after a moment. Her voice held an unusual note that made Adrian tilt his head. "And?" he prompted. "This is unusual." She paused. "Adrian, there's no physical reason you shouldn't be able to see." The words hung in the air between them. Adrian's fingers tightened around his cane. "What are you saying? That I'm making this up?" His voice remained controlled, though his heart pounded against his ribs. "Not consciously, no. I believe you're experiencing psychosomatic blindness. Your brain is blocking visual input due to trauma." Adrian thought of the car accident 3 years ago, the one that had taken his parents' lives, and he believed his vision. "That's impossible. I'd like to try a new treatment protocol. It combines therapy with neurological retraining." As Dr. Chen detailed the treatment plan, Adrian's phone buzzed. "Excuse me," he said, pulling it from his pocket. His phone read text messages aloud through his earpiece. "It's Vanessa," he explained. "She's waiting outside." Vanessa Moore had entered Adrian's life 6 months after he lost his sight, volunteering at a foundation for the visually impaired that he had funded. Her compassion had drawn him in, and her voice, melodic and soothing, had become his anchor. They'd been engaged for 8 months now. After scheduling his next appointment, Adrian navigated back to the lobby where Vanessa waited. "How did it go?" she asked, her hand finding his as she guided him toward the exit. "Fine," he replied, deciding to keep Dr. Chen's diagnosis to himself for now. "Just a regular checkup." That evening, in the penthouse apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, views Adrian could no longer appreciate, Vanessa prepared dinner while he sat at his desk, fingers moving across his braille display. "The Wilson Foundation Gala is next week," Vanessa said. "They're honoring your contributions." Adrian nodded. As Vanessa moved around the kitchen, he couldn't see how her eyes lingered on his computer, or how she frowned at the financial reports open on his braille display. Later that night, while Adrian slept, Vanessa slipped from their bed and took his phone from the nightstand. Her fingers moved quickly, accessing emails and messages before forwarding several to an address labeled JR. She paused at a new email from Dr. Chen's office confirming his treatment schedule. "Neurological retraining?" she whispered, her brow furrowing. Across town, Julian Reed's phone chimed with Vanessa's message. "We may have a problem. Call me tomorrow." As moonlight filtered through the blinds Adrian never closed, it illuminated his sleeping face, unaware that the darkness he'd accepted was about to be challenged, or that the woman beside him cast the longest shadow of all. Flickers of truth. 3 weeks into Dr. Chen's treatment, Adrian sat in a dimly lit therapy room, electrodes attached to his temples. "Focus on the sound," Dr. Chen instructed, playing a soft tone that moved around the room. "Now try to sense where the light is." Adrian concentrated, seeing nothing but the usual darkness. Then a flicker, a pinpoint of brightness that vanished as quickly as it appeared. "I saw something," he whispered, disbelieving. Dr. Chen remained professional, but couldn't hide the excitement in her voice. "That's excellent progress, Adrian." After the session, Adrian met Maya Patel, the physical therapist Dr. Chen had recommended to help him adjust if his vision returned. Maya's voice was crisp and forthright, lacking the coddling tone most people used with him. "Your body has adapted to blindness," Maya explained as she guided him through exercises. "We need to retrain your spatial awareness as your visual processing improves." Her hands were gentle but firm on his shoulders, correcting his posture. Something about her directness was refreshing after years of careful handling. Later that evening, as Vanessa typed on her laptop, Adrian experienced another flash, brief but definite. He could make out Vanessa's silhouette against the window and something else. She was working on his company files, not the charity documents she'd mentioned. "What are you working on?" he asked casually, Vanessa startled. "Just finalizing the donation report for your foundation." Her laptop snapped shut. "How was therapy?" "No change," Adrian lied, something instinctual holding him back from sharing his progress. The next day, while Vanessa attended a board meeting, Adrian asked his AI assistant to read him the recent company transactions. Several licensing deals had been renegotiated at lower values than he remembered approving. When Maya arrived for their session, Adrian mentioned the discrepancy. "That sounds concerning," she said, helping him with balance exercises. "Have you asked your fiancée about it?" "Vanessa handles most of the paperwork since I lost my sight," Adrian admitted. "I trust her, but your instincts are telling you something," Maya finished. Her hand steadied his arm as he wavered. "Balance isn't just physical, Adrian. It's about trusting yourself." That evening, Adrian confronted Vanessa about the contracts. "The market's changed," she explained smoothly. "Julian advised renegotiating while we still could. I was going to tell you after everything was finalized." Julian Reed, Adrian's former business partner who had stepped away after the accident, only to return as an advisor once Vanessa came into the picture. That night, Adrian woke to find Vanessa's side of the bed empty. Carefully, he made his way to the living room, where another flicker of vision revealed Vanessa on the phone, speaking in hushed tones. "He's asking questions," she whispered. "No, he doesn't suspect anything. Julian, we need to accelerate the timeline." Adrian retreated silently to bed, mind racing. The next day, after Vanessa left, he called Maya. "I need your help," he said simply. "The arrangement." "Focus on my hand," Maya instructed, moving her fingers slowly before Adrian's eyes. 2 weeks had passed since he'd overheard Vanessa's conversation, and his vision now came in longer bursts, blurry, but definite. "I can see the outline," Adrian confirmed. Watching the shadow of her hand move against the light, Maya smiled, the first expression he'd partially seen in years. "Your brain is remembering how to process visual information." After their session, they sat in his kitchen, where Adrian had begun his secret investigation. "I've been recording Vanessa's calls," he admitted, feeling slightly guilty but justified. "She and Julian have been redirecting contracts to shell companies they control." Maya's expression grew serious. "What will you do?" "Keep pretending I'm completely blind while gathering evidence," Adrian replied. "I need to understand how deep this goes." When Vanessa returned that evening, Adrian played his part perfectly, the successful but dependent blind man. As they prepared for the charity gala that weekend, he noticed how often her phone buzzed with messages from Julian. The night of the gala, Adrian experienced his longest period of vision yet, nearly 30 minutes of blurry but navigable sight. He saw Vanessa clearly for the first time, elegant in a red dress, blonde hair swept up, blue eyes calculating as she worked the room. More importantly, he watched her slip away to meet Julian in a quiet corner, their heads bent close together, fingers brushing longer than professionally appropriate. The betrayal stung, but not as deeply as he expected. Their relationship, he realized, had been built on her deception and his dependency. Later that week, after a breakthrough session with Dr. Chen, Adrian visited Visual Tech's offices for the first time in years, with Maya as his guide. "Your employees seem genuinely happy to see you," Maya observed as they left. "They're good people," Adrian replied. "They deserve better leadership than they've had." Their hands brushed as they walked, and Adrian found himself acutely aware of the contact. Maya had become more than a therapist. She was his confidant, his partner in uncovering the truth. The attraction between them was undeniable, growing stronger as his literal and figurative vision cleared. That evening, Vanessa found Adrian working at his computer without his usual adaptive technology. "What are you doing?" she asked, voice sharp with surprise. "Dr. Chen suggested I try using regular screens again," he explained smoothly. "Part of the therapy." "You can see the screen?" Alarm colored her question. "No, not really," he lied. "It's about muscle memory. The screen reader is still on." Vanessa relaxed visibly. "Don't push yourself too hard, darling." She kissed his cheek, the affection feeling hollow. "I'm meeting Julian for dinner to discuss the Reynolds contract. Don't wait up." After she left, Adrian called Maya. "Can you come over? I need your help accessing Vanessa's laptop." When Maya arrived, something had shifted between them. As they worked side by side, their fingers intertwined briefly. "Adrian," Maya began hesitantly, "this is becoming complicated." He turned to visible deception. "They've been planning this for almost 3 years, Adrian said, pacing Dr. Chen's office. His vision now lasted for hours, though he carefully maintained his blind persona around Vanessa and in public. Dr. Chen reviewed the evidence Maya had helped him compile. "Julian approached Vanessa shortly after your accident, suggesting they gradually take control of visual tech while you were vulnerable. And Vanessa sought me out deliberately." Adrian finished, the realization still bitter. The foundation, the volunteering, it was all calculated. "What will you do?" Dr. Chen asked. "Spring the trap at next week's board meeting," Adrian replied. "They're planning to vote me into a ceremonial role while they take operational control." Later that day, Maya helped Adrian prepare his apartment for a dinner with Vanessa and Julian. A dinner where hidden cameras would capture their conversation when they thought Adrian couldn't see. As Maya arranged the final camera, Adrian watched her with increasingly clear vision. The tenderness he felt surprised him with its intensity. "You've risked a lot to help me," he said softly. Maya turned to him, her expression serious. "You deserve the truth. No one should be manipulated like that." Their closeness in the quiet apartment led to another kiss, deeper and more urgent than before. Adrian's hands traced the contours of her face, memorizing through touch what his returning sight was beginning to reveal. "We shouldn't," Maya whispered against his lips even as her body pressed closer. "I know," Adrian agreed, but neither pulled away. What followed was a gentle exploration. Clothes gradually shed as they moved to the couch. Adrian marveled at the ability to both feel and see Maya's skin beneath his fingers. The curve of her waist, the softness of her breasts, the arch of her back as she moved above him. Their connection was tender yet passionate, born from mutual respect rather than deception. Afterward, as they lay together, the reality of their situation returned. "Vanessa will be here in an hour," Maya said, reluctantly disentangling herself. They dressed quietly, the weight of their next steps hanging between them. "No matter what happens," Adrian said, "thank you for helping me see again in every way." That evening, Adrian played his part perfectly as Vanessa and Julian discussed the upcoming board meeting, believing him oblivious to their true intentions. "The board agrees that a ceremonial chairman role would be ideal for you," Julian explained condescendingly. "You'd maintain the prestige without the day-to-day burden." "Sounds reasonable," Adrian replied, feigning resigned acceptance, "as long as the company continues my accessibility initiatives." Vanessa placed a hand on his arm. "Of course, darling. Your vision for the company will continue." The irony of her phrasing almost made Adrian laugh. After they left, Adrian reviewed the footage, now with enough visual clarity to see their smug expressions when they thought he wasn't looking. The final piece of evidence was in place. The night before the board meeting, Vanessa tried to seduce Adrian, something she hadn't attempted in weeks. Her touch felt manipulative now that he understood her motives. "I'm tired tonight," he said, turning away. "Big day tomorrow." In the darkness, he missed the flash of anger that crossed her face, quickly replaced by calculated concern. "Of course," she murmured. "You need your rest." As Adrian pretended to sleep, he thought about the clarity tomorrow would bring, not just to his vision, which Dr. Chen believed would soon be fully restored, but to his life and future. A future that increasingly he hoped would include Maya. Part 5. Clear Sight. The boardroom of Visual Tech's downtown headquarters buzzed with anticipation. Board members exchanged curious glances as Adrian entered without his white cane, Vanessa's arm linked with his. Julian stood at the head of the table, presentation ready. "Before we begin," Adrian said calmly, "I'd like to address the board directly." Julian smiled thinly. "Of course, Adrian, but perhaps I should outline the restructuring proposal first." "That won't be necessary," Adrian interrupted, removing his sunglasses. He looked directly at Julian, then at each board member in turn. "As you can see, my condition has improved significantly." Gasps filled the room. Vanessa's fingers dug into his arm. "Adrian," she hissed, "what are you doing?" "I can see quite clearly now," Adrian continued, gently removing her hand. In more ways than one. He nodded to his assistant, who distributed folders to each board member. Inside, you'll find evidence of systematic fraud orchestrated by Julian Reed and Vanessa Moore over the past 3 years. The projector flickered to life, displaying emails, contract manipulations, and recorded conversations. The final slide showed Vanessa and Julian discussing how Adrian's blindness had been convenient for their plans. "You were never blind," Vanessa accused, desperation edging her voice. "You've been lying to me." "An interesting accusation," Adrian replied calmly, considering the circumstances. Security escorted Julian and Vanessa from the building as the board unanimously voted to return full control to Adrian and pursue legal action against the conspirators. Hours later, Adrian stood in his office watching the sunset over the city skyline. Colors and light he'd thought lost to him forever. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. Maya entered, her smile tentative. "Congratulations," she said. "Dr. Chen told me it went well." "Better than expected," Adrian replied. The board was horrified by the evidence. "They're conducting a full audit now." Maya approached, standing beside him at the window. "And how are you feeling?" "Lighter," he admitted, "but also uncertain. I built my life around blindness for so long. Now everything's changed." "Change can be good," Maya said softly. Adrian turned to her, seeing her clearly in the golden evening light. Her expressive eyes, the small scar above her eyebrow, the gentle curve of her lips. "I've been thinking about us," he said, taking her hand. "About what happens now." "Professional ethics suggest we should wait," Maya replied, though her fingers intertwined with his. "I was your therapist." "Was," Adrian emphasized. "Dr. Chen can refer me to someone else for the final stages of recovery." Maya laughed softly. "Always solving problems. It's what I do," he agreed. "But some things aren't problems to solve, they're journeys to begin." He guided her to face the window again, standing behind her with his arms wrapped around her waist as they watched the city lights emerge against the darkening sky. "I never thought I'd see this view again," he murmured against her hair. "What else do you want to see?" she asked. Adrian considered the question. "Everything, but not all at once and not alone." He turned her in his arms. "Will you help me rediscover the world?" Their kiss was an answer and a beginning. 6 months later, Visual Tech launched its most ambitious project yet, affordable neurological treatment protocols for psychosomatic blindness, with Dr. Chen leading the research team. Julian and Vanessa faced fraud charges, their carefully constructed deception exposed to public scrutiny. Adrian divided his time between rebuilding his company and building a new life with Maya, who had opened her own physical therapy practice specializing in visual motor integration. Their relationship progressed naturally, without the manipulation and dependency that had characterized his time with Vanessa. On a warm spring evening, they stood on the balcony of Adrian's apartment, soon to be their shared home. "Do you regret any of it?" Maya asked as they watched the sunset. "If you hadn't lost your sight, you might never have uncovered their scheme." Adrian considered the question, looking at the woman beside him, really seeing her, in every sense that mattered. "I've learned that perception shapes everything," he said finally. "I was blind long before the accident, blind to Julian's ambition, to the superficiality of my success." He took her hand, feeling the strength and gentleness in her fingers. "Sometimes you have to lose your sight to truly see." As darkness fell over the city, Adrian embraced the view before him. Not just the landscape of lights and shadows, but the clear path forward with someone who had helped him find truth when he was surrounded by illusion. In the end, his greatest vision wasn't what his eyes could perceive, but what his heart now understood. That true clarity comes not from what we see, but from who helps us see it.